dribble.
The champ is here. I must be the greatest. The champ is here.
I'm going to continue to stand with the people.
The champ is here.
I will not lose.
I'm a bad man. I shook up the world.
Yes, welcome. You could have been anywhere, but you were here with we. I got my man,
MH.
and he is the DB of the show. I don't know if he's playing deep as the deepest on that one, but hey, man, we are Black as Sports, giving a voice to the culture that won't shut up and dribble. Interviewing the best professionals in the game and in the boardroom, covering it all, laughing at it all, and providing a platform to be heard. Now, you know, we call MH a man that knows no borders, man. So he's gonna love talking with our guests today because they're gonna share some international talk. But you know, we want to welcome our guest right now, and he said, I go all over the world and I win wherever I am. All right. So he's an HBCU alum. We're definitely going to get into which HU he's from. Multiple time Coach of the Year honors here domestically and internationally. And, you know, he's cut down a couple of nets, leading a lot of different teams to the chip. So without further ado, man, please let's clap it up and welcome Samir St. Clair the second. You know, I'm a second, so I had to give you that second. But no, we're going to call you Coach Sinclair if that's all right, man. And how we like to start the show is we like to ask all of our guests, give us a shoot your shot story, right? A time that you shot your shot. It could have been you won, could have been you learned a lesson. It could have been early in life or, you know, current shoot your shot moment.
Wow, that's a good start off question. Man, I shoot my shot moment, man, is when I was really trying to get into coaching. And I spent the whole summer, maybe I think it was around 2001, driving around the East Coast of America, going to camp and trying to meet every coach I could. I met a lot of coaches, met a lot of contacts, but nothing happened. And finally, I got a call out the blue from a coach that I really didn't know, but I was referred to him from a kid that I coached at AAU. And, man, that's how my college coaching career started. And so I was disappointed early on because I thought, man, I spent my whole summer, I was broke. And I spent my whole summer working 5-star camp, hoop group, all those camps, all up the East Coast, man. But it finally happened for me, you know. So, well, I at least expected it.
Hey, and that's how it usually happens, right?
Definitely.
Coach, where your love for sports start? When did it start?
Man, early on, man, when I was, with my father, man, he was a big, my father played football at North Carolina Central University. And, but he was a big baseball guy. And, man, I just remember sitting in the basement with him every Saturday, Sunday, watching sports. And we would go out and just whatever season it was, that's when we were throwing the football or throwing a baseball or shooting hoops, man. That's my love came from my father, man.
So, Coach, you were born in Atlanta but grew up in the D.C. area?
Back and forth because my family's from the D.C. area, so I had the best of both worlds. Yeah.
So is that the reason why hooping was a thing? D.C. area, I know there's some hoopers out there.
Oh yeah, big time. Man, I just love the game, man. I fell in love with the game from early on, and like I said, all my cousins played, and just had a love early on for the game, man, and just have never let it go.
Now, growing up, did you play any other sports, kind of like, either for recreation or kind of get into middle school, high school?
Now, heavily, I was into baseball. I was into baseball heavily, but you know how it is, man. In our community, like around 7th, 8th grade, nobody else was playing, and my father was, pissed because he was a big baseball guy, and I was pretty good, but I was like, man, I just want to focus on basketball. So I played baseball. I pitched. I played shortstop. I played all over. I was decent, man. And then high school, I played football when I was younger. And I remember my high school coach tried to get me out of football, man. But summer practices, man. It was so hot out there. I was like, man, I'm good.
Oklahoma drill.
Oklahoma drill,
Hey, it's
all that.
February.
I'm good, man. Let me get back in the gym.
So in the gym, give me your scouting report of you as a player.
I could shoot it. I could always shoot it. I was a decent shooter. You might not look at me. You look at me now with this stomach, but I was fairly athletic. I could get to the rim. I love contact, and I was a decent defender. Decent defender. But I could really shoot it. That's what I do. Give me an inch, I'm gonna knock it down. I can still shoot it to this day. So
I love it. Love it. So, you went to HU. Some say it's the real HU.
the real HU. Yes.
So, okay, so you in lines with that. But for those that don't get it, that's Hampton University. Man, how did you come to that being the university you attended?
My mother went to Hampton. Took a visit, man. Loved the campus. It was either North Carolina Central or Hampton. That was my only two choices in the house.
Okay.
So,
you almost was an Aggie, huh?
yeah. Well, no, an Eagle now. Eagle.
No, Eagle. Yes,
Yeah,
Eagle. Thank you.
Eagle,
It's the
Eagle.
Aggie Eagle Classic, right? That's
Yeah.
what I have down there,
Yeah.
right? There you go. There you go.
Yeah, so love the campus, man, and then a couple of my friends were going, so I decided to go to HU. Love my experience there.
That's what I was going to. That was my follow-up question, man. So what was that experience, man? I think that's a lot of things that we really ask when we get the luxury of having, a HBCU alum, just for people to share that, right? Because many of us didn't get that for one reason or another.
Uh-huh. I have lifelong friends, man. School was just, I mean, it was amazing, man. It's just, it's like a brotherhood, a sisterhood, just being there. But just the relationships and the lifelong friends that I met while I was there, man, you can't beat it. You can't beat it. Even with professors that I have, man, it's one professor that I still stay in contact to this day, man. It's just that connection. It was like family. So love my experience, man. I always tell my players, my daughters, man, I could go back in a minute if I could give it a chance.
I love it. No, I'm with you on that, man. If I could go live the school life, man, I'd sign me up, man. Those definitely was my best times going in there. And so you did mention daughters, man. That was a question I have for you, man. Just kind of doing our, our homework and our research and stuff. You have some daughters there. And then thanks to Kobe, man, and now in sports, girl dad's a thing. So
yeah.
With that being a coach and being around it, do any of your daughters play any sports?
My oldest daughter, my 8-year-old, she's a sports. She's athletic.
Okay.
And but she told me, Daddy, I don't like basketball, so I'm not gonna push her. she's a gymnast and a soccer girl.
There you go.
But I think eventually she'll start getting into basketball. My youngest is straight makeup. That's all. That's all.
So, how old's your youngest then?
She's 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I got a 5-year-old, and she's out there on the soccer field. She's not really playing. So
yeah.
I'm trying to. I don't want to push her too hard, but give me some coaching points on how I can kind of get her into the competition side of her bloodline.
Well, when I was when I started out, my first head coach that I worked for, we talk about this to this day, man. And he said that the one thing he wished that he did not do was pressure his kids. He just wanted to be dad, and he said he looks back at his son, and he said that, man, he was coach at home, and that he thinks that pushed him away from the game. So taking his advice, man, I'm just laying back. I don't want to pressure her or whatever, but so you make them have some accountability, but I just let them want to have fun right now at this point, So
respect it. One thing that you talked about back to your HBCU days and college days was relationships. Is there something that you grab from those relationships, or just how relationships were cultivated in school that you apply into your coaching philosophies now?
Yeah, man. I think relationships, especially, are very, very important when you're coaching, man, because you got to develop those relationships first before you're able to get guys to do what you need them to do. So just being able to be a people, not even a people's person, but just be genuine and uh, and care about the human and care about the person is very important. And I think that's helped me at Hampton, man. Just meeting people from so many different areas, so many different cities, and just at that time when I went to Hampton, man, it wasn't like social media wasn't there, so you know you could definitely identify a guy by the lingo, how they dress. So it was like you meet some dudes, and you be like, man, this dude's different. But
Yeah.
eventually, everybody was you cool. So just developing those relationships was very important, and meeting those people is very important to what I do today, man. I think coaching is like I say, it's the people business. So just those just being around those people, man, just helped me because I was always a quiet dude, man. I was laid back because people from Hampton now, man, like you coaching, like you want it's like because I was the quiet dude, man. I was just I knew a lot of people, but I didn't say too much. I just laid back and was chilling. So
So when coach talks, people listen type this situation, right?
yeah.
And just to see your smile on your face when I asked you, man, I know that like we have to have our Black and Sports After Dark to hear some of the other stories that you wouldn't share with us right now.
Yeah. Thank God for the no social back in the day.
No,
I get
Hey,
it.
listen, me and them talk about that a lot. Me and my other buddies, man. We didn't have that social media back in the day. Want to kind of change over right and start jumping into the game. And I think where I want to start off, man, is like during the intro, we said you're cutting down a lot of nets, right? So you just recently won like a championship, right? So just having that, you were at and I'm gonna butcher this, but what was the Al Bashir? Is that how you
Yeah,
pronounce
Al Bashar Club
Al Bashir Club?
in
Yeah, man.
Nisbet, Oman. Yeah.
And just there, man, and it seemed like not only winning the championship, but just your time there. Outside of just coaching, it seems like the team, the organization, and just maybe that group of guys that you had to win the championship, man, just meant a lot to you, man. What was the celebration like there when you won it?
Oh man, it was cool, man. We we won it. We all went out and smoked hookah.
There you
But
go.
yeah, man, I love Oman, man. Beautiful country, beautiful people. Uh, I love that team, man. I would go to war with those guys. Had a
That's
good
what's
group
up.
of guys. I had two American players with us that helped us win it, and we won the league championship, and then we won the President's Cup and qualified for the FIBA Asia. And man, good organization, man. And just I love great players. They bought into what I wanted to do. And just we rolled, man. We were rolling. We were rolling.
And that's
So
the thing, right? Like you mentioned the key thing that a lot of people talk about is when a team gels, right? Like going through whatever, the mission is or the assignment is from the get-go, getting all the guys to like, row in one direction, all joining in for the mission and what the conference what the goal is, definitely helps that. Now, I know I started there, but I just want to kind of give you your flowers and say congratulations, but you've definitely coached from the bottom to the top. So
yeah.
started from high school, then you went to D2, D1, HBCU international, man. So just talk a little bit about what that journey has done for you developing you.
It's really helped me as a coach, X's and O wise, because I've been exposed to a lot of different styles, a lot of different coaches, and then just the people I've met and the places I've been has been a blessing. I started out as a high school coach here in Atlanta, did that 1 year, and then went to Southern Poly University with worked for a guy that I consider my mentor to this day, Coach Jeff Jones. Coach Jones was at Kennesaw State when they won Division II national championship, and he really helped me uh, develop my coaching philosophy. Uh, Coach Tony Ingle, who passed away, who was the head coach at Kennesaw State, he was a guy that really helped me and molded me. And then I went to Clark Atlanta and worked for Coach Daryl Jacobs, who was a tremendous guy. When you say building relationships, he was that type of guy, and really showed me and helped me in that situation. And then from there, I went to Dubai, and man, um, was able to find my niche in the Middle East, and had some success there. Went to Japan and Mexico, so it's been a blessing, man. It's been a blessing. Met my wife while I was overseas, so and we built a family, and we've been basketball hopping all over the world. So yeah.
I love it. Now, Coach, I saw the Atlanta Celtics on your resume.
Yeah, I coached with the Celtics. Yeah, coach with the Celtics, and rest in peace, Wallace Prather, who started the Celtics. Gave me an opportunity to come in and coach, and we had a team. Man, he when I first got my coaching bug, he gave I was in DC, and then I moved and came to Atlanta, and then Coach Prather gave me a chance, gave me a team, and that's how I got AAU, and then that's how I got my coaching bug. So
Yeah, so I mean, talk a little bit about that. I mean, for those of our listeners that know, I mean, Atlanta Celtics are, and that's Dwight Howard, Josh Smith, and like that.
yeah.
That's the club there. So how was that experience? I know AAU has evolved over time and everything of that nature, but just working with a prestigious club like that, man, as a start, how was that for you?
It was a good experience, man, because I was able to work with some high level players early on. Like you said, that team with Dwight and Josh Smith and Randolph Morris, Javaris Critton, and that team was loaded. And then you look down and you had Derek Favors he was an eighth grader. I first met Derek Favors. He was an eighth grader at 6'7". Man, so many guys came out of there. Deion Glover. Uh, I'm missing Darnell Harvey. I was able to go to an ABCD camp, Adidas camp when it was rolling and popping. Saw Sebastian there, and man, saw LeBron. So it was, but that experience with the Celtics, man, was just it was an opener, wide open, So
Oh, sorry about that. My question for you is scouting, right? Every
mhm.
coach has to have a little bit of scouting, some more than others. What was it for you? Because you had like a large level of success, like bringing large, big name talents to certain schools as well.
Mhm.
What's the difference between scouting kids in the States and then, kids internationally? Or, if you're bringing kids from the States internationally, just like tell us kind of like the dynamic of scouting.
So when I was in the college game, it's a lot different now. But when
A
I was
lot.
when I was in the college game, man, we used to, and I learned this from Coach Jones, man. We used to base a lot of our recruiting on just character, man. We knew guys could play, but if you will, he wanted winners, and he wanted high character guys, and that really, and the way we recruited, I rarely talked about basketball with guys. I rarely talked about it. I used to tell guys, man, I know you can play. I don't need to talk basketball with you. That's why I'm recruiting you. But I just want to get in your mind and have a heart to heart to see where you are. Will I be able to coach you? Will coach be able to coach you? How you going to handle adversity? Adversity? Are you a winner? And our thing was, man, we wanted to make those guys the best uh, husbands, citizens, husbands, and fathers they could be. And that's what we used to tell them. So I think now recruiting now has changed with money. Nobody cares about that anymore. But that was my deal then, and then you know choosing guys for playing overseas, man, I usually deal with a couple of agents that I trust, who I
Okay.
know that's going to, send me some high quality guys. Guys can play, but you also it's tough being the American coach, and then you gotta, because the team is looking at you as almost as you their father. So if they do something
Mm.
crazy, they're looking at you and they're pointing at you. So I don't need guys that's gonna screw up when we're not in practice, we're not in game. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, touch on that, coach. And I got a little brother that's in the coaching industry now. So I know he's gonna listen to this interview and probably some pour and get some stuff from this. So particularly as a black coach, how did the international, kind of opportunities arise for you? How did you even get into that space?
I was at Clark Atlanta at the time. I was assistant. I was associate head coach at Clark Atlanta. And one of my former players, who I coached at Southern Poly in the IA, he was in Dubai. And he hit me up and he's like, Coach, I know you're looking for opportunity to be a head coach. You get some experience. They just fired our coach. I'm good with the owner. I said, whatever. I didn't even know what Dubai was at the time. This was 2009. And he said, send me your resume. So they reached out to me and asked me, could I be there in 2 weeks? Yeah, I was like, well, huh?
Huh? Yeah. What?
So I took about a couple of days to think it over, and I decided, hey, let me take a chance. So I said, all right, I'll do 1 or 2 years and then come back to the States or whatever, and have the head coaching experience, man. It ended up being 13, 14.
Wow.
So that's how it happened. And then, I just got in the mix over there. Really got in the mix. And then I loved living there. It was just being overseas and living, man. It's a whole nother experience, whole nother experience. So,
For sure. I grew up in a military family, so I was born in Japan.
okay.
When I was in college, my parents lived in Turkey.
Okay.
Um, so I totally agree. Like, those opportunities. I always say I want to have my daughter at some point. I need her to grow up internationally, just because what you learn from just living in different parts of the world. But as kind of getting Americans on the team and coaching in Europe and in Asia and parts of the Middle East, like how much of the culture did you have to? Are they lenient in some areas more than others? How much of the culture did you have to kind of adopt into basically your program and how you were coaching?
Yeah, I mean, you have to do it every day because your majority of your players are locals. The only place that I went to where I didn't have a majority of local players was Mexico, because we could have 7 Americans. But with everywhere you go, your players majority gonna be locals. Like when I went to Dubai, you could only have 1 American. So now then it was just, hey, it's you and him, and then the locals. So you just gotta, the coach was huge. You know, it's basketball, but there's also culture involved too. So
Yeah, don't do the wrong thing in certain
yeah,
places, boy.
yeah, exactly. So like in Dubai, man, those dudes had time. They had issues with time, being on time. I had to learn that. I had to get patient, so I had to lie with my practice time so they could get there on time. They practice at 5. You tell them
Interesting.
it's at 4, so at least they get there by 4:50. You know, and and being, I'm an on time type of guy, and they're just walking in. I'm going crazy, and they looking at me like, Coach, calm down. Because for them, it's no time is not an issue. It's just when in Japan, it's totally opposite.
Right, right.
So when I was in Japan, you tell them to practice at 4, dudes on the floor at 3:15, ready to go.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
so
And you kind of mentioned how college has changed now, with the NIL space and everything of that nature and money involved. I guess, from your experience, do you see Europeans are, international players maybe get into colleges in America because, hey, you can just, I can make a lot of money in America by just getting into college there. Do you kind of see it as a transition of a change from your experiences there?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, when money's involved, definitely. Yeah, I definitely can see that. Yeah,
I got you.
yeah.
Now, can they start pro earlier there? Like, aren't they getting paid when they play for their national teams then? I mean, of course, it's not the level of money, but just kind of before you're making those kind of moves and going to schools and how the recruiting process is, but they can play over there, correct? Earlier?
Yeah, you know how they do it. You know, you don't play through the school; it's a club.
A club, yes,
And
okay.
so the clubs have, and then the Middle East works the same way. So the clubs they have a pro team, and then they have on the 18 team, on the 16 team, on the blah blah blah. And if you're good, that's how Luca was able to play pro early because he was just better than everybody else, and they just bumped him up from the under 16 team to the pro team. So that's how some of those guys end up playing pro early because they in their club they can play. You know, they bump them up and they can play. So that's how that system works. But yeah, I definitely can see a lot of European players coming over for college now. Yeah.
Now, go ahead, MH.
Go. I just wanted. I mean, you said coaching philosophy, and you the offensive guy. So I kind of wanted to get into how you see the game from an offensive perspective, particularly with your definite international kind of flavor. And how do you see it?
Well, by nature, I'm a defensive guy by nature.
Oh, okay.
I'm a defensive.
Well, Coach, the first thing you said as a player, you said you was a shooter. The defense was the last factor in your bio there. So
no, but I'm a defensive coach. I don't I do not give any for me on the defensive end is you have to defend. I'm not going to give you any leeway or whatever. I'm going to control that D, and if you don't defend, hey, you sit it. Offensively, I'm gonna give you some room to go to do what you need to do, but you got to defend. But offensively, I really, and I think as a coach, and I look back like when I went to Japan, man, offensively I became a lot better because we played a 70-game schedule. I didn't have an assistant coach, and they're really good coaches in Japan. And you play back to back, so your adjustments and everything have to be really, really solid. And so I really became a better a guy offensively, just off the board, just drawing stuff up and just putting stuff in. I'm a concept on the offensive end. I'm a concept guy. I'm gonna have some quick, some stuff out of timeouts, but more than likely, I like to teach a concept and you play out of that concept. And I think players play better like that, not being robots and not, calling plays. I don't want to coach every play. If we learn these concepts, and learn these reads or whatever, I think you play better like that. If you look at the NBA now, everybody's playing 5 out. It's a lot of read stuff. If hey, the defense do this, we're gonna do this, and that's what I teach offensively. We're gonna play out of a concept, whether it's 5 out, 4 out, whatever. But we're gonna play out of concept.
now speaking of NBA, the thing is, a mid-range shot's a bad shot. You threes are to the bucket. Is that something that internationally you adopted early, or what's your philosophy kind of with that as well?
My second year in Japan, we played like that because we had so many shooters, and I allowed one player to take mid-range shots because he was efficient at it. But no, everybody else, it was either get to the paint, shoot. We're gonna shoot the three because we had so many shooters that year, and that was it. Now other years I've allowed. Last year in Oman, hey guys, take mid range because they really didn't shoot the three well, but they were decent mid range guys. So, but yeah, my second year in Japan, it was no mid range. I'm taking you out. Take you out. Shoot a mid range. Didn't. Yeah.
I love it.
So, you've been to Vegas during summer league. So I kind of saw like some of your profile that I think you helped to the coast. camp, which most people don't know that the international camp that's kind of goes on.
Uh-huh.
Well, we're trying to get the Mason brother to come down because it's just how valuable is it for you, or what are your thoughts are around kind of like summer league, the coast to coast, and they have another international like camp or tryout, kind of like was the Euro Summer League or something like that that they have.
Yes, there's several that go on doing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And did you find any value? And we're gonna see you next year, man. So should we be trying to link up with you when you come
Yeah,
in town?
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, man, it's value in it, especially if you got to look, because everybody that's involved in basketball all over the world is there then. And so, and those the coast to coast is a very reputable camp. So it's going to be a lot of teams from a lot of markets. And so it's very valuable to go. Now, there's some camps that are money grabs. There's no one in the gym, but the very reputable ones. If you're a guy that's trying to play overseas and start your career, you need to be at one of those camps. So
So a lot of times we always ask, like, how do you evaluate that, right? Because you have kids that have agents, or maybe kids that have parents that are help pushing them, and they want to get them in that spotlight. How do you kind of evaluate like reputable ones? Because like anybody can put, sponsored by this brand, that brand, and get a gym and rent it out. So what are some of the things that one should look for? And we're going to talk about, of course, yours later down. But what are some of the things one should look for?
well, first, like coast to coast, they actually have coaches that are coaching overseas, working the camp. Some of these camps, man, they just pass out jerseys and they have somebody's dad sitting on the bench and you just playing games, man. It's I've seen some of the worst. But coast to coast, some other camps have actual guys that coach overseas, some overseas agents that are involved in the camp, some guys that are, locked into certain markets that can get you where you need to go. So that's important. You have to look for camps that have guys that are coaches that are actually coaching overseas.
So with kind of just basketball nowadays, there's just so many different leagues and so many different ways, right? Like, so not playing college and going to the G League. There was a couple other leagues that were started. What's your thoughts about like finding that transition and for kids, nowadays, to find their career path and in hoops?
Well, you first you have to find your market, where you think you're gonna fit in and be able to play. I think a lot of guys just go blind and don't understand. Like, you can't go to Japan as a 6'2" guard, because that's not going to be your market. Usually, Japan will take big wings and bigs. Middle East now, some countries do take guards. So then you just have to focus and see where your market is going to be, and then really focus on that. And then if you have an agent that's stateside, you got to make sure that agent has connections in those markets. Because like for the Middle East example, because I'm very experienced there. If your agent has no contact, you just sending film to those teams are really not going to help. He has to have a connect. He has to have a middleman, a Middle East agent. I know a GM there that's going to be able to get you in that market and really be seen. I just know how it works. They, a lot of those teams they're not going to trust guys that they don't know.
Right.
They're not going to trust agents that they don't know.
Someone's feeling the spirit over there.
It's time for prayer. So
Time for prayer. Yeah, that's all I was wondering. I was like, someone's feeling over there. So, another thing that I kind of have for you is, man, are you bringing back conversations with Coach? Man, I saw I saw a couple of clips of conversation with Coach, and I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if it was too time consuming or just something that but I think you should bring it back, because of the few of them I saw, I think there's some really great nuggets in there. I think there's stuff like, you don't want to hear the kids' mixtape when you're watching highlight films, right? Like, you don't need all of that going on. So I don't know, man. What was the genesis of conversation with Coach, and are you going to bring it back, man? I think you should bring it back, man. But talk what made you want to start that, and are you going to bring it back? Let's get you to bring it back.
I need to. When I was in Oman, the guy who played for me, man, I'm getting old. What's his name? Rosser, Damian Rosser. He's a big video guy. He's actually playing in where is he now? Where is he? I think he's playing in Denmark somewhere. But he was like, man, coach, you need to do some videos, man. You need to, he's like, you got wild stories, man. They're hilarious. So I was like, all right. So he started, he's like, man, let's do conversations with coach, just to how to help guys um, that want to play overseas. And, because I get DMs every day of guys just asking, hey, man, it's my video. Here's my coach. So I just want to help guys out, help players out. So I need to bring back conversations with coach. I definitely will.
There it is. We want to definitely see that.
Yeah.
MH.
Yeah, coach. You said something really interesting, and I'm looking at your bio, and team builder is one of the paragraphs on there, and you talked about the team in Japan. You guys shot threes, and the recent team you coach, you shoot mid range. So, I guess take us a little bit on your process of building with the team, how you changed your philosophies across the world, really, to make it work for the team. I think that's a special talent. And I think it's something that anybody could grab in any industry about building a team and working with your team and doing what's best for them. How do you go about team building? What's your evaluation process and seeing like this is going to work for this team and these people? How do you go about that?
Man, going because one thing about coaching internationally, you really don't know what you're going to have with your local players, so you can't be a rigid coach. And I a lot of guys who played overseas, they understand me. Serbian coaches are very rigid. They're just like, you're gonna play like this, you're gonna play like this, you're gonna do this, you're gonna run like this, you're gonna shoot like you're gonna run this. But a lot of times, man, when you go overseas, man, you don't know what you're gonna have and what players can do and what they feel comfortable with. So I had to learn how to, man, give it some time to, like, and relationship building is key too. Just to talk to guys to see, hey man, what are you comfortable with? What can you do? What do you do not like doing? So I can develop and structure my offense, structure my defense, because it might be one way I want to play, but these guys can't do it, and so I have to find out and put them in a structure where they're comfortable and they can succeed in. So I've just learned as a coach that I can't be rigid. When I came back from Japan and coached high school, at first I was coaching like I was coaching grown men, but I had to change that up. I'm coaching high school kids now, and I just think each situation is not going to be the same, and you're not going to have the same players. They're not going to have the same ability. So you have to study as a coach to be able to be versatile in teaching different concepts, and because you just don't know what you're going to have. So to be successful, I can't be rigid. I can't.
Is that tough? Because sometimes I feel like coaches are like, hey, we got to live or die by whatever our identity is, and that has to be some type of coaches got egos, kind of adjusting.
Yeah.
This just ain't gonna work for this. You know what I mean? How much of a self thing that you kind of have to deal with in making those decisions?
Well, I learned early on, man. My mentor, Coach Jones, he said the most important words you're gonna learn as a coach is shit is not working. So you got to change it. So he said, if you don't have that in your vocabulary, he said, man, you're gonna be a terrible coach. But so you got to realize that, hey, yeah, I may want to do something, but it's not working, and you got to change it. So it's not working. Let me change it up. Yeah.
Man, I wish you could have said that to my DB coach back a few years back. Man, okay. No, that's good though, because I know from a lot of just leaders, and I'm just talking about leaders in any industry.
Mm-hmm.
You take the responsibility of success on yourself or your team, but a lot of times that's hard to really self-evaluate. Like, what I'm saying is not working, or what our plan is not working, and I got to evaluate what's best for the overall team and organization. I think that takes a lot of just humbleness to even do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I learned a lot from my father, man. He was in the insurance business for 38 years. He was the first African American hired for Equitable Life Insurance in 1968. He ran an agency that was one of the top selling agencies and became vice president.
Wow.
And he was, my father he had a personality, man, that drew people. But he would always tell me, he said, man, you gotta let if you want to, be successful and you want to lead, and you want to let guys be successful, you gotta let them take control, and you gotta give them the power to take control. But as the leader, he said, you got to be able to take the hits and know when things are not working, and be able to take ideas, and and his thing was, man, hey, I don't care who tells me what's right and what's wrong, who gets the credit. At the end of the day, I'm the one that's in charge. They gonna give me the credit anyway.
Credit anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
uh, so I tell guys like assistants that work for me. I tell them, hey man, I don't need you to be yes men. Hey, tell me what's up. If you got something, tell me. You can tell me everything that's wrong, but do you have a solution? And we can go from there. Yeah. So and I'm willing to take those suggestions.
I love it.
MH, you ready with the quick hits?
Yes, sir, Coach. This is just kind of 3 and out type of questions, just random questions, so our listeners can kind of get to know you a little better. Physical strength or mental strength?
Mental strength.
You have any nicknames? And if you could share, what would be
Man, my boys, they call me C Murder.
Yeah, we might. What he said, Black Sports After Dark. We might
yeah.
we might have to get that story, Coach. Movie that your most like quotable movie, a movie that you enjoy quoting the most.
Man, Malcolm X.
I love it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now this is my last one. No, I actually got 2 more. Loving Basketball or The Wood, movie wise. We got to get that one first. Which one?
Man, I'm going with The Wood, man. Loving Basketball was fake.
Okay. Now, Coach, can you expound on that a little bit? Why is it fake? And there's an international flavor in that, so you a good source for this.
Yeah, I
What they
mean,
missing?
I don't know, man. I like, The Wood was hilarious to me because it just reminded me of me and my crew. You know what I mean? Like, I got some guys, man, I've known since the sandbox or whatever. And that's how we don't see each other much, but when we do, it's just like we pick up right where we started. So
yeah,
I love it.
love of basketball to me, man, just playing somebody for your love, and I don't know.
How's that? Quincy McCall's that post move was cold though when he felt good. That drop step was.
Yeah.
My last one, Coach. And this is the debate that I just had today. Better athlete, just pure athlete.
Uh-huh.
Are they in the NBA? Or in the NFL?
That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one.
You think so, Coach? You think so?
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, I do. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Because I have a good friend. He's like family to me. He played in Notre Dame, was drafted, played wide receiver in Notre Dame, and played for the Steelers. And, just running with all the equipment and just, the speed with, man, that's a tough one. For me, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. But let me say this.
I feel like you lead in the right way. But
Right, the lead seems.
But basketball does involve every part of being an athlete. I mean, you got to run, you got to jump, you got to be able to stop quick cuts, things of that nature. Everybody on the football field is not doing that. Big linemen are not doing that.
I don't know, man. Did you see the combine? Some of them 3+ was in the 4.4s, man. In the fours, under
True.
fives. Man.
True.
They built a little different than back when we played.
Yeah, true. That's true.
That's it, MH.
That's it.
All right. So we want to jump into the winner circle, man. This is where we talk about, what you got going on, what you want to promote. So in the winner circle, when we talked and did our pre-show work, you want to talk about the pro exposure camp.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that you worked on and you created. And shoot, you started it back in 2012. So it's just been, running, or the concept or whatever, been running for, a few years. So what we like to do right now is just you give us the elevator pitch on what it is. Tell us what Pro Exposure Camp is.
It's just it's an event to give guys the opportunity to play, get film, one, and try to extend their career, their basketball career. It's not a money grab. I do a very limited number of guys, and just for them to be able to get some film, be able to send it out, and I have a guy that I partner with that's an agent, and we're just trying to help guys get jobs, man. There's so many guys, man, that just are trying to play overseas. They don't know the concept of how it really works, and we educate them on how it works also. Because some guys can waste a lot of money, some guys can be scammed. Uh, I got a funny story with that, man. That's I've seen it all. Just guys not knowing how it goes and to get overseas. So we're just trying to help a platform to give guys an opportunity to play overseas.
So you mentioned the limited number, and just from the side, like I think it's around 12. Why is it that small number? Or can you expound on why you
Just
chose 12? And
just because some of these camps, man, can just be a money grab, and I just want to let guys just help them. So I can't do anything with the 80 guys in the gym, and a lot of those 80 just really don't belong in there at all. Some of them, but we kind of limited to side guys that would definitely have a chance to have a resume, college resume, who played some overseas, to get them there. Now, the guy that plays at the LA Fitness and he scored 20. He thinks he can play overseas. Now we're not going to go for that. There are a lot of camps that would take his money, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
So how do you gauge the different parts of their career? You mentioned, college and maybe in guys that have already been, professionals.
Mm-hmm.
How does that all mix into the camp?
Just, we put them through some stuff as far as like, because, there's a lot of times you might have to come off the plane and play. And so you got to be able to run some offense or whatever, know some terminology, and a lot of times you're not going to have an American coach. So we put them through some drills or whatever. Can you pick this concept up now? And we go from there. So that's the very importance of being guys who played in college, who played overseas before, that they already know. I've met a couple of guys that can really, really play, but never played anywhere. But it's a struggle for them in structure. And so, you're going overseas, you're not just hooping now. In this now, they want you to run something, and so if you can't do that, it's tough to be able to keep a job. So
you just recently had one of your camps. I think the one in Orlando was just a couple months back or last month. How often are you hosting them? Right? Are you just doing like one a year? Are you doing maybe one a quarter? Like how are you hosting them? And I know it's just has to depend on schedules and timing and where you can get people, but what's kind of like the overall kind of frequency that you look to have?
try to do one in the wintertime and then get one in the summertime. This year we're trying to plan probably after summer league, late July, August. Do it in DC, in the DMV area, and and go from there. So twice a year, try wintertime and in the summertime from there. So
Yeah, keep us posted so we can share it on our social and support any way we can, because that's definitely what you're doing is more than just a camp, and the fact that you're doing the certain things to make sure that it's true focus on those 12 or whatever the roster spaces that you do.
mhm.
What's one big thing or one thing that you would tell someone that's looking to play international, like one of like a key or, or a key gym or something that you would tell them before going international? Because like you said, I think you mentioned being ready to play in a system and being flexible, something like that. Other than that, what's one thing that you would tell someone preparing or want to play international?
uh, one one thing I would tell them is be open minded. Um, one key is too is when you go overseas and you're in these places, you're with you're mostly with local players. You can't be the guy that after practice you're going straight back to the apartment. You're not having any interaction with your teammates because they look at that. Um, they look at that, because you're in their world. You're not in this world anymore. You're in their world, and so you got to be open minded to culture. You might not like everything, but hey, you're there, and they really look at that as far as it's a bonding thing, but they also want to know, hey, are you respecting our culture? The food or whatever. I had a guy, man, in Japan. He ate McDonald's every day, and I'm like, come on, dude, really? You can't. Guys would invite him out to eat dinner with him, and he wants to eat. Coach, I don't eat that, and eventually we sent him home. So uh, because you just got to be able to be open minded, because it's more than just basketball. You're the guy you're the foreign guy, and you got to be able to be able to mix with the players. You got to mix with the front office staff. You just can't be you got to be open minded and just mix with people. You know.
Talk a little bit about that transition, coach. And tell me if this is a part of your camps. I have relationships with those that have played overseas, and you go from country to country. And then when it's that time that it's like any athlete's time, when it's time for you to probably lay it down, I know it could be difficult in some ways to do that and kind of go back to just being a normal citizen. So do you talk about any of that in your camps and the transition in between playing and not playing anymore?
Yeah. I do. As far as just shutting it down basketball wise,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and he was like, "Man, he's a former college coach. He runs the AAU program now, and he was talking about a couple of his guys that they're back here uh, doing training kids, and he was like, man, these dudes never had real jobs before, so they don't know who like they want they don't know how to function. They went from college to they playing overseas, or they play G League, and now it's over, like you said, and never had real jobs before. So I just think that uh, one thing you have to do is just look first of all what you want to do before you shut it down. Start setting some things up. Find another avenue. You got to have something other than basketball or whatever. Find what you want to do other than that, and start before you retire, before you shut it down, and really start working in it and making some contacts in that field. I go back to my man, Malcolm Johnson. Man, he has a investment firm now. Man, he went after he played with the Steelers. He played in Canada for a while in the Canadian Football League, and man, he went and got his master's at Wharton, and uh, he was setting himself up for his investment firm. So now he has an investment firm, man. He's doing well. So I always bring that example up because he started early, man. Before he always had a plan. He told me, man, I just want to make it so I can get my pension. He would always tell me that, and Yeah, he started early, so I just feel like you really gotta, because it's gonna stop bouncing. The balls will stop bouncing. The pads are gonna come off. So you really have to decide early. Hey man, I want to sell cars or whatever you want to do, but start getting into it early. Because especially you play overseas, man. Because when you don't have practice or games, man, you really have a lot of off time. So you can get on, internet and start setting some things up early, man. Yeah.
Oh, that's definitely a good one. I like that. And that comes across in so many areas. We talk about that with the athletes, looking for that transition. All right, Coach, we're coming to the end, man. We thank you so much. Want to end off with the assist, man. This is where you get to drop a coaching jewel, maybe words of inspiration, words that you live by, just a quote or something like that, or something you would tell your younger self. But give us that coaching gem.
Always be accountable. Always be accountable.
It is.
Yeah, be accountable to yourself. Be accountable to your players. Be accountable to just whoever that you're dealing with or leading. Just be accountable. And that's why I go about, man, every day, man. And endure to the end. That's another thing I deal with. Endure to the end, man, because you always you can fight, get knocked down, but keep getting up and endure to the end.
I love it. All right, MH. Final thoughts.
Yeah, Coach, really appreciate your time tonight, man, and being flexible with us, man. I thoroughly enjoy this. I think coaches are special leaders in any industry that you work in. As a leader in my own professional life, man, I took a lot of jewels and took a lot of notes from what you're saying about accountability and, just building the team and the culture, man. So thank you for what you've done in your coaching career, man, and look forward to supporting you in the future. So really appreciate your time tonight, Coach.
Thank you guys for having me. It's been
Absolutely.
a pleasure.
And definitely those relationships, man. So, hey, we want to thank Coach again for taking the time. We want to thank VCG Sports and AT, man. Thank you for all you do. And we want to thank our guests, you, the listeners. We hope you enjoyed the show tonight. Gathered some jewels. Take this back, run it back, share it with someone who is in the coaching or someone that's looking to take it to that next level. So there's always jewels that if you don't pick them up, there's something that you can share with someone. And we have a new episode that drops every Thursday. So please, if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, because visual representation matters. If you see it, you can be it. And like we always say, please stay safe, practice gratitude, and know we're rooting for you.
Screaming, all us blacks got is sports and entertainment until we even.
Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yeah. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Look. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Spent about 2 racks on handmade new rags. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. That's everybody from sports to college class to rap.